Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day, and in today's video we are going to be talking about Daryl Dixon and the chances that he ends up dying in the Walking Dead universe. Now, this has been one of those things that no one's really talked about in forever because Daryl Dixon's plot armor has just been so strong through the years, right? It's probably been the strongest out of all the characters, I would say, maybe besides Rick Grimes, but Daryl Dixon just has crazy plot armor, and he's been through some crazy stuff. He's knocked on death's door 100 times, and he's just still made it out alive, right? So, he's over there in Europe doing his thing. They're going to Spain for Daryl Dixon season 3. It seems like there's no plans for that storyline to end, but I've always wondered how the overall story of The Walking Dead is going to end. What's going to be the end game, right? Is Daryl going to die? Are they all going to die? Is there going to be a cure? We just don't really know. But the one thing that comes to my mind right now is Daryl Dixon dying. Is that actually a possibility now that Norman Reedus is getting older? He's not really a young man anymore, he's 56 years old. And that's definitely getting up there. Obviously Norman Reedus has done a very good job aging, in my opinion. He's very active. He's in good shape. He looks good with the shirt off, right? He doesn't look, flabby or anything like that. You know what I mean? He looks pretty toned and good for 56 for sure. But at the same time, 56 is still getting older. You know what I mean? And it makes me wonder, are we actually going to see a Daryl Dixon death on The Walking Dead, right? And I would definitely say, just for all the characters, this doesn't just go for Daryl, it goes for all of them. The longer the show goes on, the more likely we are to see these crazy death scenes happen. A Rick Grimes death scene, a Michonne death scene, a Negan death scene, a Maggie death scene, a Daryl death scene, a Carol death scene, right? Even some of the other characters, right? The odds are we are going to see some of those characters I just named die. And it's definitely going to be a very sad thing, man. It's going to be heartbreaking because, a lot of us, we grew up watching these characters. I grew up watching these characters. And, I'm 24 years old now. I'm turning 25 in a few months. And Daryl Dixon has always been my favorite character. But just being honest and being open, we are getting older, and Daryl Dixon is getting older. Norman Reedus is getting older. The Walking Dead universe is probably closer to the end. And it's one of those things where I wonder, man, like, are we actually going to see this character die? Right? It's one of those things where it almost seems unrealistic to even discuss and talk about because it's like there's no way Daryl's ever going to die. But the more you think about it, right, when you just kind of get that initial built-in response out of your mind and actually break it down and think about it, there's actually a pretty decent chance we might see Daryl Dixon die. I believe that. I think there's a decent chance we'll see eventually a Daryl Dixon death scene. He's a very risky character. He's always doing crazy things. He's always making crazy moves and crazy sacrifices. He's a very selfless person. And that is going to catch up to you eventually. And so, honestly, I do believe the day is going to come where we will see Daryl Dixon die. I really do. I'm not sure that Daryl Dixon is the kind of character that's built to have a happily ever after. I just don't necessarily believe that. Um, I just don't believe that. I truly do think, unfortunately, even though he's my favorite character, that he's going to end up dying on screen, probably in a pretty brutal way, I would say. I don't want that to happen, obviously, as a huge fan. I want the character to live, have a happily ever after, and let that be that, right? But I think the odds are, within the next 5 years or so, we'll probably see a very brutal Daryl Dixon death scene. And off the top of my head, I'm sure he'll probably die saving somebody. That's what I think. I think he'll probably die saving somebody because that's just the character of Daryl Dixon. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Daryl Dixon lives on and has a happily ever after. But I want to know your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you guys think? Has it kind of hit you too that we're all getting older and Norman Reedus and Daryl Dixon, whatever you want to say, these characters are getting older, right? The characters are getting older, the franchise is getting older, the actors are getting older. We're all getting older, right? And in the end, nothing goes on forever. There has to be an ending. There has to be, right? And so it's kind of hitting me now like, wow, we might actually see these characters end up dying in a brutal fashion on screen. And it's going to be heartbreaking. I just hope we don't actually have that happen because I would love to see Daryl live on forever. But we'll have to wait and see. Let me know your thoughts. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there in the crazy world. Peace.